My name is Dr. Mzoli Mnganga, and I'm a lecturer in the Department of Early Childhood Education. And I hold a PhD in education from the University of Johannesburg. And my research is mainly, I use mixed methods to interrogate the sociological factors and their influences on the care and education of young children in marginalized communities. And I'm also a co-editor of a recent book, which is titled Managing the Micro-Teaching Process, a Practical Guide to Teaching Practice Preparation. So in today's workshop, the focus of the workshop is on Atlas TI, and you received the advert. And it says today we will first clarify the difference between manual and computer-assisted data analysis. And then we will go to Atlas to do a practical demonstration of creating, importing, and organizing a research project. And then it says, the advert says, thereafter students will be taught how to add files to a project and then conduct a preliminary data analysis. And the preliminary data analysis will focus on coding, applying codes, different kinds of codes, free codes, in vivo codes. If we have time, we will also do a little bit of auto coding in Atlas TI. So it will be a practical demonstration. So you must not think that this is theory. And I'm not even going to use a PowerPoint because I want everything to be practical. And this is why you are here. And I'm very pleased that so many people have attended. Now, let's start with the first objective, which is to clarify the difference between manual and computer-assisted coding. So the first thing that I've done, I've downloaded a thesis from the repository of the University of Johannesburg, and this is the thesis. If it's in the repository, it means it's for public consumption, so we can use it in this workshop for demonstration. So it was published in 2016. But what I want to draw your attention to in this thesis is the data analysis section, because I want you to see the difference between manual coding and computer-assisted coding. So this one that I'm going to show you is manual coding. So let's just search here. Let's search data analysis. And also something that I just want to advise you as a master's and a PhD student is that make sure that when you do your contents page, it's automatic. I am supposed to click here. It's supposed to take me to data analysis, but it doesn't. So even if it's a PDF document, please make sure that it is automatic. The table of contents is automatic, because it's a bit of a struggle to get to where you want to go. Okay, so this particular PhD student, this is the data analysis section. Now, if we scroll a little bit here, you see I highlighted this sentence, and the student says, the data were analyzed by hand. So this is manual. And according to the several stages recommended by Smith, Flowers, and Larkin 2009, which are outlined in table 2 below. So what is important here, this student is saying that he analyzed the data by hand. And this is somewhat of a concern for a PhD thesis that was published in 2016. And then these are the stages. You see stages of analysis, and the student explains it. And then the student goes on to just explain a little bit about what is data analysis. Data analysis is an iterative procedure, blah, 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 blah. And then the student goes on to explain the analysis cyclical process. And this is the stages. During several close readings of the data, codes were generated, and so forth. And then he continues. And then he talks about the themes, and then that's the end of it. So in a 435-page PhD thesis, the whole section on data analysis is only 2 pages. and it is done by hand. And I went through many PhD theses and masters, and this is how it looks like across the universities. Whether you are looking at UNISA, whether you are looking at University of Pretoria, whether you are looking at University of Johannesburg, whether you are looking at University of Stellenbosch, there is not a detailed explanation of the data analysis method and process. And there is no use of Atlas TI, there's no use of the data analysis software, and that is a concern. Now, I also looked at this thesis, transformational development of the poor in the Amalinda Forest community in East London. And this one comes from the UNISA repository. It's published in 2023. So let's also do the same here to see the issues we have with data analysis. So I just type the data analysis, and then it takes me to chapter 6, data analysis of the research data. Now let's see what this student is saying. Now, remember, this was published in 2023 in the repository at UNISA. According to Silverman, in qualitative data analysis, the recordings from the interview schedule are the tools to draw on to enable this is done by using line by line or paragraph by paragraph coding. So this is what we are going to do. So this student is explaining how you code. You code line by line or paragraph by paragraph, which is fine. And then that's all about data analysis, believe it or not. Because if you scroll down, you see here the analysis of women's Manyano interview results. These are results. Now, the feelings of the women about the program, and then the student says, all the members expressed a positive attitude towards blah, blah, blah. So this is presentation of the results. We don't see the detail of the analysis process to say, this is how I analyzed my data. The previous thesis that I showed you, there's a bit of a process, but that process is less than a page. It's just one page or maybe a page and a half. So you attended this workshop so that you can start to see that data analysis is a somewhat often neglected area, yet it is a very important aspect of research, especially at master's and PhD. Now, there's a very interesting article which I will share with you, Approaches to Analysis of Qualitative Research Data, a reflection on the manual and technological approaches. Somewhere this article emphasizes the importance of data analysis. Now, these authors, they say the data analysis phase of qualitative research is described as the most intellectually challenging phase. It is the most intellectually challenging phase of the research process. And the active role of the researcher in identifying and communicating themes is critical. So can you see that in the examples that I showed you, even though this aspect of data analysis is the most intellectually challenging phase, there is no detailed, kind of an explanation of the process that is involved. So hopefully after this training, you will start to understand the importance of data analysis and be in a position to explain it in detail. And at the end of the workshop, I will show you a detailed explanation of the data and an example, a very good example of a detailed explanation of data analysis. Okay, with that out of the way, now you can see what happens when you do the so-called manual analysis. It's exactly what I showed, and this is not, colleagues. I'm not stating this with the spirit of maybe criticizing. It's a positive critique to help you to improve. That's why the universities post these studies. in their repositories so that we can engage critically and have a robust discussion about the previous work. And that is how we improve the body of knowledge and research methodology. So it's a positive, a robust critique. We are not criticizing. We just want you to, as a student, as a master's and a PhD student, to improve and see and fill the gaps from these previous studies that I've just shown you. All right, now let's go to Atlas TI. So I think I've shown you already what manual coding looks like. It's not detailed. There's a lot that is missing. You will read it for yourself. Also in the article that I will ask Sam Kelisiwe to share with you. Now, after you, okay, first of all, you will speak to Sam Kelisiwe or Mr. Tony Machila, and you ask them to send you Atlas TI. You will download Atlas TI on your computer. So it's an app. It's just like any other app. It's like Facebook. It's like maybe TikTok that you will download to your device. And after you download it, you are going to log in with your. You are going to register and log in. So mine is already logged in. You can see my name. It says welcome Mzoli Mnganga. I'm logged in already. So it says here. So this is the landing page after you log in. Now it says here, no projects. So I don't have a project yet. And the reason is I've just removed my projects because I wanted to demonstrate to you about creating a new project from scratch. Okay, so you will click here, new project, to start a new project. And then I am in the field of early childhood education in the College of Education. So I apologize that my examples will be more about early childhood education or education generally, but please try to adapt to your own field of research. Now I'm gonna give my project a name after you open the project. I can just say maybe perspectives of ECD practitioners in Free State. Now, you just want to also comment about the project a little bit. You can write anything here to describe the project. You can just say maybe interviews with maybe 20 ECD practitioners. So ECD stands for Early Childhood Development. Or if you like, you can just, have fun with it and type my master's / or if you are doing PhD, you can say my master's PhD road to success. So that every time you open it, you are always motivated. So you can just play with it and just write whatever you want to write in the comment. And then you click create. Now you've just created a project. That's the name of the project, Perspectives of ECD Practitioners in Free State. It shows there in full. Okay, now you will notice in the project overview that your project is empty. So there are no documents, zero, no codes, no quotations, no memos. There's nothing. It means you have done nothing in this project. Now what you need to do is now I'm moving to the other objective of this workshop, which is to add files to your project. Now let's add a file to the project. You will see a document is 0, so let's add a document. So how do you add the document to your project? You click here on add documents, and then you click add files, and then you go to your computer. So I'm just gonna go to my research file and research. And then you select, let's say you select your interview transcript. So I've got some transcripts here just for demonstration. Let's take participant 1, and then you open. It's loading. Now it's there. Here is your interview transcript. now you will see you have one document. And if you click here, you see there it is participant 1. Now let's close it. You close it there. Let's repeat, add document, add file, and then you select, I select participant 2 this time, and then you open. Now you see we have 2 documents. So that's one way to add documents. Okay, let me delete these documents. You can also delete documents if you want after adding them. So I delete the document. So it's 0 again. So this is another way. I'm showing you the second method to add your documents to Atlas TI. So you click there. Instead of selecting add files, you add folder contents. So I'm going to add a folder instead of one by one. So I open my research folder and then Atlas TI transcripts. So I'm selecting transcript as a folder. It contains 10 files inside. So I click select folder, and then you will see now I've got 10 documents all of a sudden. So you don't have to add your documents one by one. And then let me delete all of them again. So I've removed, I'm back to 0. Now let me show you a third method to add your files. So it's drag and drop. Let's do this. Okay, let me bring here. Again, I go to, so I can just do this, drag this folder and put it here. And then you see again, I've got 10 files. And if you want, you can drag one by one. So in other words, you open the folder and then you drag one by one. You can also do that. So those are the 3 methods that you can use to add files to your project. I'm going to close this. So, so far I've taught you how to create a project, how to add files, right? Also, on account of time, I'm going to have to move a little bit faster. Now, let's talk about coding. And that's the reason you are all here for. So how do you conduct coding in Atlas TI? And I assume that you know, based on your reading of research methods, textbooks and other workshops on research methods and data analysis, you know a little bit what coding is. Because here I'm just going to show you how to code in Atlas TI. So I hope you do have a little bit of an understanding about what coding entails. Now let's code participant 1. Now you've got your interviews, 10 interviews, and you are done with your data collection. You are happy. You've transcribed your interviews. Now you want to go onto Atlas TI and start, you know, the analysis process, which is essentially coding. Let's open participant 1. Colleagues, I also want to mention that this data doesn't belong to me. I got it from my colleagues with their permission. This one comes from a professor in the University of Free State. He allowed me to just use this data for demonstration. It's not my data. Okay, now here is the participant 1. If you want, you can open several participants at the same time. Let me open participant 2. Let me also open participant 3 for demonstration. Where's participant 3? Okay, there it is. So that you can move between documents as you code. So this is participant 1, participant 2, participant 3. You can open as many as you want, but you shouldn't open too many. Otherwise, I mean, you can't use you can't analyze many documents at the same time. So let's start with participant 1. Okay, so this section deals with biographical information. Let's skip that section. So this section explores the specific objective quality of practitioners in ECD. It's not an interesting section. Maybe let's skip it and look at what other section is in this interview for demonstration. Explores learning environment in the Early Childhood Development Center. Let's look at this one. They talk about the learning environment. Maybe it's interesting. Okay, so the interviewer says, thanks for the clarity Is it inside the bus that they come? So this interview is about a mobile ECD center. You see these women, they go into the communities and they identify young children. They drive a bus, a mobile sort of a classroom. So this interviewer is asking for clarity. So is everything inside the bus or whatever? And then the participant says, no, we pegged the mobile, which is the bus, and we do the gazebos. We are working with the gazebos, one practitioner with the gazebos, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so they don't work inside a bus, they work in a gazebo. So you highlight that. So this is how you code. You highlight it, and then you right click, and then you say apply code. Now, you can say the practitioners, they work inside a gazebo. I don't know if you know what is a gazebo, but it's gonna come up now. So they work inside the gazebo, and then you press enter, and then you see there's a code. So you click on it, it will highlight here. So that's your code. Now, the interviewer is confused. He asks, okay, explain what you mean by a gazebo. And then the participant explains that a gazebo is a tent. So they go into the community, they erect a tent, they set up a tent, which is their classroom, and they call the children in the streets, and then they start to teach them. Okay. So the interviewer says, oh, you mean a tent? And then the participant says, yes, 2 tent between wara. Okay, let's continue. And then the participant also, we have nothing. Okay, explain what you have in that tent. Now the teaching resources, what is inside the tent? Now the participant says, yes, we have nothing. We have containers. In the containers, we have all toys. Yes, material and blah, blah, blah. So this is about teaching resources and materials. So you highlight that because it's an important discovery. You right click again and you apply a code. Then this is about teaching materials and resources. That's your code. And then you press enter, and then the code will be applied. Okay. Now let me move a little bit faster because I just want to demonstrate something. Mobile, gazebo. I just want to see something I can code. Now maybe I want to have maybe 3 or 4 codes. Okay, so the interviewer asks, do you leave some of the materials to the learners when you leave? Remember, this is a bus that just parks in the middle of nowhere in the township. So do you leave the materials? And then the participants said, no, we don't leave the materials. So the interviewer asked, do you pack your materials and go? And then the participant says, yes, we pack the materials. So let's code that because it's important. Because it means once the bus leaves, then the children are left with nothing. There is no reinforcement activities. Oh, sorry, no reinforcement activities after the bus is gone. So that is an important finding. So if you think about it, that these children will only benefit as long as the bus is standing, is parked there. Once it's gone, they have no toys, no materials that they can keep with them. So it's an important finding. So that's why I'm saying no reinforcement activities. Okay, so you understand how to begin to code your interview. So I'm not going to code all of them, but maybe something I just need to show you is another way of coding. Okay, I'll just, let's say, let me see what I can show you here. Okay, now I'm trying to understand the context, the things you give them. Okay, the interviewer wants to know, what does this mobile school give to the children? We plan 2 or 4, 6. Okay, we are not doing same activities, 5, 6 or whatever. Okay, so let's say this is just about activities. What kind of activities? Let's say you want to code this whole paragraph, or let's just code the whole paragraph, right? So this is another method. You can just click here and click apply codes. You can, if you want, you can choose one of these codes, or you can type a new one, maybe activities. Let's just say type of activities. So that's a new code, type of activities. And then you apply the code. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, it's applied. And then you can also search the document where, let's say, you want to code something else. You want to focus on activities. So you click search, and then you type activities, and then you click enter. It will show you everywhere where they talk about activities, and then you can open, or here they talk about activities, you highlight it, and then there's something called quick coding. So remember previously we applied, the last code we applied is activities. So if I click on quick coding, it's going to automatically use the code that I used previously, which is type of activities. I can do the same here. They still talk about activities, and then I highlight the whole thing, and then I click quick coding. It will apply the same code, which is type of activities. But if I introduce a new code, it will now capture this new code that I introduced. Now, these are all your codes that you applied in the document. Okay, so now you understand how to code. After coding, what else do you do? What do you need to do? Remember, in qualitative research, the smallest unit of analysis is the code. And then from codes, we move to categories. And from categories, we move to themes or something like that. Now, how do we move from codes to categories in Atlas TI? Let's see if we can demonstrate that. Okay, let me close the search. So we already have a few codes. In fact, let's just have a look at the codes. So here are our codes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 codes. Now, what do we see in these codes? So we have a code on activities. We have a code on the classroom environment, a code on materials, and this one is also on activities. Now, we want to move from these codes to some kind of emerging categories or themes. So what you do, you click home, and then under this managers, you click this little arrow, and then you click code groups. Remember, a group, you are starting now to group your codes because you are moving from codes to categories. And then from categories, you are going to move to themes. Now, we are grouping these codes. Maybe I should start that so that I don't confuse you. Let me close it again. So we still have the participants that we open. So you click home, and then you click codes. You click this little arrow, and then you click code groups because you want to group the codes now so that you can move from codes to categories. I'm repeating this so that, yeah. Now here are your 4 codes, and you want to group them. So you click new group, and then you can already see here, oh, sorry, why doesn't it move? Okay, it doesn't move. It's fine. So you will have a group on maybe type of classroom activities inside the mobile classroom. So here, that's where you will discuss all the kinds of activities. How interesting are the activities? What are the challenges? Are these activities appropriate? Do these activities cater for the different age groups of children? So you click create. Now you've got a code group, which is an emerging category or an emerging theme. You are starting to see your themes emerging from your data, from your qualitative data. So that's one group. So I want to create another group. So I've got activity and I've got activities. And then I want to focus on the material, everything to do with the materials. That seems to be another theme that is emerging from my data. So I'll click again, new group, and then I will say material. I will say teaching materials and resources. And then I click create. So I'm creating another group that will focus on teaching resources, teaching materials and resources. So all the data from my 10 interviews that speaks to teaching materials and resources, not all the data, but all the codes will go into this group, into this code group. Now let's create another group. You can just be, maybe you just want to talk about now the environment itself inside the gazebo or the tent. So you create another group, you say, you call it inside the gazebo / tent. It's a tent. And then you create it. Now, you've got these code groups, which are your emerging categories, but they are all empty. That's why you see 0, 0, 0. So you've got nothing inside. So how do you now take these four codes? You will have obviously many codes. This is just demonstration. You're supposed to have typically between 50 to 100 codes. Okay, that's too much. Okay, initially you're supposed to have about 50 to 100 codes. And then those codes you must delete others, group others, and so forth. When we do the advanced training in Atlas TI, I will focus on those aspects of how do you deal with 1,500 codes, because some of the codes you must, because it will be a repetition, so you need to delete some of the codes, and some of the codes you need to merge with other codes to create one code. So now here we only have 4 codes. Okay, now this code type of activities, it belongs to this group code group type of classroom activities. So you click on it and you put it here, you drag it and drop it there. Now it says 1 instead of 0. Is that clear? I hope it's clear, colleagues. Now this code about teaching materials, it belongs to this code group. All codes on teaching materials go there. And inside the gazebo, so you can take this code and put it in that code group. This one about reinforcement activities, it's also about activities, so you can drag it and put it there. You see now you got 2 there. And then when you open, if I click there, okay, let's see. Yes, so if you click here on this code group, codes in group, here are the 2 codes. If you click there, there's 1, so there should be 1. There's one code. You can open a little bit if you want to see it. And if I click there, there is the code that belongs to that group. Please don't feel that this is too much information. I know it can be very confusing, but the point is very simple. You've got 4 codes, and here are the codes. And these, you've created 3 groups. Here are the 3 groups. And you've taken these 4 codes and you've put them in the applicable groups. That's all we have done now. And these groups represent your emerging categories and your emerging themes. So that means you must have a little bit of an idea of qualitative data analysis about moving from codes to categories to themes eventually. Right? And you should also understand codes and categories and themes as moving from data to information, and from information to knowledge, and from knowledge to wisdom. That's another way to understand it. It's data, which is a code, and then it's information, which is a category, and then it's a theme, which is knowledge, and then it's some kind of a discourse, like some kind of a body of knowledge, which I would categorized as some kind of a wisdom. All right, so I've now showed you how to code using different kinds of coding, but maybe something very complex that I wish to show you is, let's see, what is called auto coding, right? How to do auto coding. And this version is the latest version of Atlassian i22. I hope the last one I used was the version 13. I hope I won't have a problem here. So when you do auto coding, okay, let's close this code manager group. We still have our 3 participants. Now we want to do auto coding, which stands for automatic coding. So we just click home. Next to home, you click search and code. Let's see. Where is this? Okay, let's just even use this one. Text search. It should work. Let's click text search. Now, which documents do you want to auto code? I don't want to select too many. Let's just select two documents, right? Or 3. Let's just select 3 documents. Participant 1, 2, and 3 again. So that's what you do. And then you click continue. Or in fact, you do have an option to also select all of the documents like this, but I'll just select 3. Let's even select this one, 1, 2, 3, then you click continue. Okay, now this is how auto code works. You can either find what you are looking for in a sentence or a paragraph. Let's leave it at paragraph. Let's say maybe there is something about poverty. So you want to search if there's anything about poverty so that you can code everything about poverty using one code. So we type poverty. Okay, so we have include inflected forms. So when we say inflected forms, if there's a word like poor, it's an inflected form, and also the synonyms and so forth. And then we click show the results from the 3 participants where they talk about poverty. It's only one. Okay, let's go back. It doesn't help. Let's look at where they talk about materials. It looks like there's nothing. What can I search here? Let me think. Oh, let's search quality. Maybe there should be. Yeah, quality. It appears quite a lot of times. So let's also use inflected forms, and then we show results. Now we can see we've got many results, quite a lot of results. So every time when there's a quality, so you want to apply, let's say you want to apply a code in all of these sections. So this is auto coding. So you will say apply code, and then you type here quality assurance issues in mobile classrooms. In mobile classrooms. So whenever there is in all the participants, participant 1 up to participant 3 or whatever participants, it will apply this code, quality assurance issues, and then you click this plus. Then you will see now. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Where's my? Okay, you will see that in all now of these sections where we identified quality, the same code, which is quality assurance matters, it has been applied in all of those sections. So that is what we call auto coding. If you didn't get it, you will go back to the recording. Now, what you can do here, since you've coded using auto coding, you can, if you want to see this, to read this, remember this is just a sentence or a small paragraph. If you want to see this in context, you just click there, and then it will take you to that specific participant, and then you can read it in context. It so happens that it coded the heading or the topic of the section, which is still okay. And then let's look here. Even here for this participant, you can just click there. It will take you to that section where quality is mentioned. You will see here's quality, it is mentioned. And again, you can do the same. Click there, it will take you to the participant. And let's see, so that's all participant 1. Let's go to participant 10. And if you click there, it will take us to participant 10. And here is where qualifications, quality are mentioned. And here is the auto code that we applied. Okay. Now, let me just show you one last thing, which is in vivo coding. I hope we understand in vivo coding. So in vivo coding is whereby you use the exact words of the participant. So we call it in vivo coding. So I just want where the participant was speaking. I think I'm also from the point of view, really good program. They also need to, okay, I don't know. So let's say we just highlight this. Facilitators are all qualified. So that's what this maybe principal is saying. So we click on it, we right click on it, and then we click code in vivo. So it means this code is exactly in the words of the participant. It's what we call verbatim coding. Verbatim coding. So we also call it in vivo coding in Atlas TI. So that's how you apply in vivo coding. So you right click on it and then you select in vivo coding. Okay. Let's what else about this. Remember, this is an introductory workshop just to take you through all the basics. In the coming workshops, we will delve much deeper, where I will show you quite a lot of advanced stuff. But let me see what else I need that I plan to show you. Organize documents. Okay, I've already done that. Oh, okay. Let's just talk maybe a little bit about organizing these documents. You've got 10 documents, 10 interviews. Let's assume that maybe you interviewed 3 school principals and 3 parents and 3 SGB or whatever. Let's say you interviewed different groups of people. Let's put it like that. And you want to organize these documents properly so that the interviews for school principals are separate from the rest. So what you do, you have your documents here, and then you go to documents. So you click here, and then you go to documents, and then you click here, and you create document groups. And here are your 10 participants. So let's assume these were interviews from different groups. So you click new group. It's a new document group. So you will say interviews with school principals, with school principals. So that's group 1. You create that, and then you create another group, interviews with maybe district officials. So you create that. Now let's assume this first interview 1 to 5 were school principals, right? And then what you do, you select all of them. I've selected all of them. So when you select them, you click on the first one, and then you scroll down a little bit. You press hash. You press shift, and then you select all 5, and then you drag them to interviews with school principals, and then they show here documents in the group. So these are the 5, and then the rest 6 to 9, they were with interviews with district officials. So you select them, and then you put them there, and then it shows. So when you click here, it shows a different group, different documents. When you click there, it shows another document. So that's how you can also group your documents. Because what I've picked up, the mistake that people make in Atlas TI is if they interviewed different groups of people, they think that they have to create multiple projects. So they have a separate project for school principals, another project for teachers, another project for district officials. No, you don't do that. Because if you do that, then your codes are not going to speak to each other. You will have a separate codes for principals, you will have separate codes for, and these codes are going to overlap. You will use the same codes, but they don't speak to each other. You're not going to be able to do a further analysis of it. You will have to separate this data separately But if you group them like this, you will be able to analyze all of them using the same codes as one project. Okay, organize, import, okay, autocode I've already done. You can, okay. Something else that I also want to show you in this introductory workshop is that in Atlas TI, you can analyze anything, right? You can analyze anything. So you can analyze a PDF document, a Word document, even pictures. So let me just add a picture and show you. Because sometimes, you know, in our research, you ask people to make a collage. You can ask them to draw. You can ask them to, yeah, something like that. You can take photos. So you can also analyze photos. So let me just take maybe children's drawing. So this one comes from my PhD research. So let's take this picture, open. Yeah, and then let's take another one, another drawing of a child. So in my research, I asked children to draw their families. So let's take another one, child 2. I don't like this one. Let's check another one. Okay, maybe it's okay. I won't worry about the other. Okay, let's see. Child 4. Okay, there's one that I really like, which I want to show you. It's also nice to analyze it. I really enjoyed analyzing it. Can't remember which child it was. Okay, let me search it like this. Just give me a second. I just want to find a picture that is a child's drawing that is nice to analyze. So that just to show you how to analyze, first of all, a visual material in Atlas TI, and also, yeah, I just want something that is exciting. I think this one is exciting. Sister, brother, warawara. Okay. Okay, I can't find the one that I thought is nice, but we can use this one. Now let's use maybe, yeah, let's just take even this one. Let's just take even this one. So now you will see that, you see, initially we had 10 documents. Now we've got 12. Just to also recap on grouping the documents, remember now we've got drawings, which is a separate, we've got drawings, which is a separate type of image. Okay, that's fine. We've got now children's drawings. So let's say I want these to be separate, the drawings, to separate them from the interviews. Then I will click here, and then I click documents, and I click document groups, and then I scroll here. Okay, I'm gonna have to create a new group. Okay, let me do it a little bit differently. Let me create a new group, and then why is it not showing? Okay, let me close it. Let me just close everything so that I can also close this. Okay, let's click again, document groups, new group, and then I can name this group children's drawings, right? Children's drawings, and then I click create. You will see that I have got a new group. Now I'll just come to this. I select this, I also select that, and then I drag it and I put it there in that group. So these are my the children's drawings are here, the interviews with district officials are here, the interviews with school principals are here. Now let's open the children's drawing. So I just, okay, let me close it here. You can close it and then open it from here. You can just come to your document groups. Let's do this. Okay, close the codes. Here are your document groups. And then you click here, children's drawings. Let's start with this one, and then we open it. Now let's try to code this. Okay, I should be fine. Now, if you look at this child's drawing, you will see that there's a father, there's a mother, there's a sister, and there's a brother, right? So this is, you can select all of this picture, and then right click, apply a code, and you describe this picture in a code, and then you can say, this is a nuclear family, and then enter. So you've applied the code. Now there's your code, you see? And at least they have a television, so you select the television. Maybe you think that a television is some kind of an indicator of income. So you can say they have electricity, because you need electricity to have a television. They have electricity. They have electricity. It's an indicator that at least they're not, I don't know whether to say they're not very poor, but at least they have electricity. So you just add your code if that's important to you. And also something you see, it's a very small family. It's only a sister and a brother. In addition to being a nuclear family, you can maybe, let's see, can we create a memo? Let's see, nuclear family, right click, show codation, show manager, edit comment. Maybe you can just comment. You can also comment on it. Let's say there's something that comes to your mind. You just say, this is a very small family compared. I'm aware of the time, colleagues. I think I'm going to stop at 1:15 because we delayed. We started a bit late. This is a very small family compared to the rest of the families in the maybe in the group or whatever, compared to the rest of the families in the study. Okay, and then you save, click save comment. So the comment is saved. This comment now is part of this. Let's see, when we click on it, there should be a comment. Yes, so you just double click on this code, and then it will always show you your comment. So it's going to help you when you do the write-up. So as you are analyzing, you are commenting, and it's going to come in handy when you go back now to your thesis and start to write. Remember, you are analyzing here, so you need to also comment as you code. Okay, let's say we are done with this. We move to this one, to this child. Now here, there's a brother, there's a sister, there's me, this child who did the drawing, there's brother, and then there's mother. Now, what do you see here as you conduct the analysis? So you just, maybe you just select an empty space here, and then you say apply code. This is a single, mother-headed family. And then maybe it's a concern in your data. You know, it's something important. So you code that this is a single mother-headed family, and this is how the child captured it. And also you see that it is a relatively, apply another code, relatively big family. And there could be a financial strain on this single mother who has to take care of all of these children, and there's no father in this family. So it's a relatively big family, and then it becomes a concern in your data analysis. And then you can also add another comment. So you single mother, relatively big family. So you can add a comment that there could be a financial strain on the single mother who takes care of maybe 5 children, who takes care of 5 children, you know. So you are just speculating, right? But so something important, when you ask children to draw like this, the purpose of it is to interview them afterwards. This is called a, what do they call it? Some kind of it's called a stimulated interview. Stimulated. So you use this drawing, you ask children to draw, and then you interview them about this drawing. You use this drawing to stimulate a discussion with children. So it's a drawing facilitated interview type of an interview. There's a correct name of it. I just forgot about it. But anyway, you see that this is how you analyze the drawings. When we do the advanced one, I'm going to show you how you analyze videos, how to maybe analyze audio material. Let's say you just interviewed a president or a premier or a minister. Sometimes you will want to capture their voices exactly as as they express their ideas, and then you want to listen to it and code that interview as an audio or something like that. So maybe we can talk about that when we do the advanced. This is just the basic stuff that we are doing today. Let me see. Okay. The last one is you can also, the last thing maybe I just want to say is that you can also analyze PDF documents. Let's just open. Let's see, maybe I will take this one, open. So this is a PDF document. You make it big like that. And then just like you were doing with the Word document, you just select it and then you write. Why is it not? Let's click the apply codes, and then you can apply a code like I showed you. Let me close that. Before I stop, let me see what I can also show you. Export project, organize documents I've done, import, export, save project. Okay, something very important. You have to save your project once you are done. So to save your project, you click here and then you click save. I don't want to save this thing. I want to delete it, so I'm not gonna save it. But when you are done for the day, remember data analysis is ongoing. So when you are done for the day, just click save. Otherwise, it's not going to be saved. And another thing which is also important is to export your project. Once you are done with it, let's say you are done and completed your analysis, you've reported your findings and you discussed the findings, and then you must click export. And then you select project bundle, and then you click again project bundle, and then you save the project, right? You save the project for many reasons, but you need to save the project as a file now, right? As a file on your computer. Like this is an Atlas TI, I saved Atlas TI project. So after you've saved your project, one day when you want to come back in it, let's see. Okay, let's export. Why don't I see import? Okay, I won't see it. So one day when you want to come back, okay, let me close this. So let's say I'm done. So I close perspective personal. Save. It asked me before I go, do you want to save? In other words, what we have just done, do I want to save it? I don't want to save it. So I click no. But yourself, you must save it. Okay, let me just open up. So that project that you saved one day, so you will click here, import when you want to work with it. Okay, let me start again. You will see that there's one project, the one we've just done. So let's import another one. You click import, you click that one, you select this project you want to import, open, import. It can take a few seconds converting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now you see now I've got, okay, let me click close again. You see now I've got two projects. No, I didn't want to open it, close again. So I've got two projects, right? I've got two projects. So you can choose which project you want to open. I think I've said enough. Remember, this is just an overview, colleagues. I think I've shown you quite a lot of stuff. You might find that this is already mind-boggling, but this is just the basic stuff. If you are still interested in the more advanced, I think some Kelisiwe will still contact you because I think we still have 2 workshops remaining for the advanced features of Atlas TI. I want to stop there, but before I stop, some Kelisiwe, with your permission, please take note of this. This is a very important document in terms of analysis using the software. Just write down. You can find it on Google. Approaches to analysis, blah, 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 blah. Just write this. And I've highlighted some important sections in this document, which I really, really like, because I want to discourage you from saying you are doing a manual analysis. Don't do what you call a manual analysis. Because even in this document, they explain it quite clearly that a review of literature suggests that the manual approach can be unwieldy, which means it's difficult to work with it. It is cumbersome, it is tedious, it is frustrating. And very little has been published in relation to the mechanics of manual approach. To say I analyze my data manually, people, to be honest, in some places, they just question all of that. They don't have confidence in that. So, and then, and it is almost impossible to manually analyze hundreds of pages of raw data. It is a daunting task. So we already question the quality of the analysis. The moment we see that you conducted 25, 30 interviews, and you said you did that, all of that manually, how did you organize all of that? So there are those lingering questions. And then it's just a little bit outdated also, colleagues, to be honest with you. Because, you know, I've read a few PhD theses and master's dissertations, people still talking about printing hard copies. The moment you mention in your data analysis about printing something, it just said the red flags, to be honest, about photocopying. It's not right. About marking up with highlighters. You see, writing on the margins of papers, cutting and pasting, hanging files on the wall, arranging color-coded sticky notes. Those things, you will see even the references, they come from 1982, 1994, when people were mentioning this stuff. And then there's this study, Brown and Clark. I used it in 2012 when I was doing my master's thesis. Brown and Clark provide a comprehensive description of the manual data analysis process. It's important to know the manual analysis process because it's the foundation to move to the computer-assisted qualitative data analysis. So it's important. I'm not saying you should know it, in fact, and then you should use it as a base now to move to Atlas TI. Now they say here an alternative to the manual approach is computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software, the technological approach that I've just shown you. It offers amazing abilities to import, organize, explore data from various sources, like I showed you, text, video, audio, emails, images. I showed you images, blah, 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 blah. And then here is also something important. Okay, they mention here Atlas TI. The majority of this. Oh yeah, here is important. In some instances, I read a few PhD theses, I mean, from very respected institutions, including in the United States. Someone will say, I used Atlas TI. But when you read the thesis itself, you can see that this is not Atlas TI analysis. So that's why here in this article, they talk about name dropping. I don't know if you know name dropping. So these authors report that the majority of researchers, about 88%, they say they used Atlas TIO and Vivo to support qualitative data analysis, but they fail to provide details of the technological approach that they used beyond naming the software or what they refer to as name dropping. So people will say, I used Atlas TI. But when you read it, you don't see the process being explained. You don't see Atlas TI visualizations, which we will deal with when we do the advanced Atlas TI training. So if you didn't use Atlas TI, don't do name dropping. Don't say I used Atlas TI, because someone who reads your thesis can immediately see that this person didn't use Atlas TI, because there's a specific language that you must use, that we must read in your thesis when you say you used Atlas TI. I'll just show you here as I close in the next 2 minutes. So this is a thesis from the University of Johannesburg. I just want to show you, oh yeah, this is what I was talking about anyway, about clicking. I'm supposed to click. This is the proper thesis. So qualitative data analysis. So let me just click and then it takes me there. And then you will see that this person says they use Atlas TI. Mix what? Vancouver. Why don't they mention? Okay, I can just search it here. Find. You will see that the person says they used Atlas TI, Atlas. Let me just press. And you see, they said this discussion now turns to the specific procedures undertaken to analyze data using Creswell's generic qualitative data analysis method in Atlas TI 9. You see, you also have to go into that detail to tell the version, the Atlas TI that you used, so that we can see, do these visualizations that you use belong to Atlas TI 9? Does the language that you use belong to Atlas TI 9? Because also the language of Atlas TI is evolving. So that's why you cannot lie, people cannot lie, but those who say they used it and then we see that they didn't use it, it becomes not a good not a good picture, because we can even read the language that this is not Atlas TI 22, this is not the visualization of Atlas TI 22, but let me show you what an Atlas TI project looks like when it's done. I'm sorry to take long, but you must remember we started a bit late. I hope you don't mind. I mean, I think this is worth your while. Okay, let's go to research methodology. Where's data analysis? Okay, no, it's not there. Qualitative data. Yeah, here it is. Oh, no, that's quantitative. Qualitative, so it's here. Now, here are the visualizations I'm talking about in Atlas TI. And I'm also going to show you the language. So this is the first output, Atlas TI document report. So it shows that this person analyzed 57 documents. You see, there were school interview, school 2, school 3 focus group interview, and blah, 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 blah. And then you see quotations. This is Atlas TI 9 language. The person says, during this process, I wrote brief memos and generated free quotations. You see, this is not a research language. This is Atlas TI language. And then if you scroll down, then this person explains what is a free quotation. Free quotation means to highlight segments that you consider to be interesting or important without coding them. Then it's called free quotation. It's Atlas TI language. And then this is Atlas TI visualization. It's called an ad hoc network. So when we see this, we can tell that, okay, this is Atlas TI 9, right? And you see the person calls it an ad hoc network, this kind of visualization. And this is Atlas TI language. So when you say you use Atlas TI and then we don't see Atlas TI visualizations, we don't see Atlas TI language, then that's problematic. And then these are coded segments from Atlas TI, as I was showing you when you are making examples. And then this is an Excel export of codes. When we do the advanced, I'll explain to you what is groundedness, what is their code density. So this is an Excel export. And then this is a code co-occurrence table. We will deal with it as we go along if there's a demand, for further trainings on Atlas TI. But we need to understand all of this. This will really uplift our research. This is also Atlas TI except. So these are the kinds of visualizations we want to see. You see, this is 2 groups showing how this is code groups number 1, code group number 2. These are codes merged. They go into these code groups. These are the visualizations we're talking about that we want to see. Okay, last one. Now this is another ad hoc network showing, identifying relations to move from code groups to categories, moving from codes to emerging categories and so forth. So I'll stop there, and I don't want to confuse you, colleagues. Thank you so much.